Now remember that your consciousness is the fabric out of which you make your lives. This consciousness fabric is the ground of your every response to every single thing which happens in your mental, emotional, and physical lives. Your consciousness is your reality. Okay, so this statement can be expressed in two ways, both of which are true for your existence. Your consciousness creates your reality, irrespective of what the actual facts of your earthly life may be. So when people believed that the earth was flat, they were afraid to venture too far to the ocean, so that their ship might fall over the edge. And so people who believed in the flat earth lived their life according to that belief. And so when Galileo said, the earth is round, he was considered a heretic, but his perception of the roundness of the earth enabled sailors to take a new look at the world and set out to discover what lay on the other side of the ocean. It required a change of their belief to make this possible. So you are in a similar position in regards to these letters. Those people who discount and ridicule them are like the people who believed in the flat earth and were afraid of falling over the edge if they sailed too far. Too far to the east, too far to the west in their unknown environment. Their horizons were severely limited by their false beliefs. And so are the horizons of the people who believe in the world being solid. They're also very restricted, severely restricted. Day after day, they lament and grieve over the misfortunes which have befallen the world, believing that there is no escape from them. But people who can grasp and can welcome the truth of consciousness, the truth of consciousness, irrespective of what your eyes and what everything else has been telling you, because those were previously planted seeds of consciousness. People who can grasp and welcome the truth of consciousness that I'm presenting and giving to the world are like those who perceived that the travel on the oceans could be limitless, undertaken in all directions, providing that they had the will to set out on such a journey. And so therefore, your state of consciousness is the most important consideration in your life. By your consciousness, you feed yourself with either inner love and harmony, joy and beauty, or the opposite. And you have a choice, and you get to do this every day, all day long. When you have such a beautiful consciousness, you will find yourself being removed from undesirable environments, and you will find yourself climbing out of unpleasant circumstances and into the heights of the places that you seek. And it is through your consciousness, whether it is that you are giving life or whether it is that you are taking away life. This is how you will experience life. When you think a thought that brings joy and happiness and fulfillment, you can feel the upliftment in your body. This is a high vibration that you are feeding to your environment, and you will at some point in the future see fruitfulness from these consciousness waves that you are emitting from yourself, because they go out, they plant themselves in the not solid environment around you and create the pleasant and wonderful circumstances which you've created for yourselves, and it creates them in visible form. You visibly see the matter of the seeds of consciousness which you have planted in the past. And if you feed it with destruction, then this destruction will come back, and it will be the feed that you base your life on. And these exact vibrations which you emit and you focus on will be the food of your days. And because these are the seeds that you are planting, these are the seeds that you will be reaping in your life. Now you have a choice. We get to choose. Choosing. It is in the choosing. It is in the decision making. that we can set ourselves and others free, or we can enthrall them and enwrap them and bring them down into our lower vibrational state of consciousness, believing it is so solid and what a wonderful thing that it is that we are doing here on this earth, when indeed it is not, because this is a spiritual, not an earthly battle. And these things which we think we need to fight for, we do not need to fight for, because fighting is the energy of destruction and chaos which we are leaving. And so we are loving, forgiving. And when we do this, we set ourselves free. We set others free. We set everybody in the whole entire world free. Because the energy of forgiveness is the energy of peace, and this is what we are trying to create. And in the past, we could not create it because we thought that by killing and by destruction, somehow, magically, completely avoiding the laws of the universe that say that you reap as you sow, also known as electromagnetism, what it is that you put out does return in the exact same form in which you put it out, impossible not to. And yet, for some reason, we've been doing the same thing and driving ourselves and our earthly plane insane. And we no longer wish to do this because we are evolved spiritually, which is why you're here listening to this. And because of this evolution, it is now turning the other cheek, so to speak, and looking at what it is that we want to harvest, as if every thought that we have is a seed that we are planting in the future. And we are told exactly how to meditate. Seeing the world already done, already complete, already in the heavenly state. And by doing this, we are blessing everything that we are seeing. We are giving the true life, the true nature that we are meant to give to it. And therefore, in the past, if we have set up seeds of consciousness, which now we are reaping for a harvest, and we say, look, it is so solid, it is so real, you are right, and it has all been a creation of the mind of the collective consciousness, which we are now chasing through, changing through our choosing of the light, of the path of forgiveness, of the path of love, of the path of purity, of the path of leaving the past in behind, and the destruction and the chaos in the past, understanding why it is the way that it is so that we don't repeat it and cause that insanity again in the future. We have every single second, every single moment to choose hell or heaven for ourselves, and you can feel the resonance of that in your body through a thought. And that is what I am speaking about. And so if the resonance that you are having of the thought that you are currently holding is one of hell, then you can eradicate it from your mind by praying to divine consciousness and saying, hey, can you eradicate this from my mind? Because it is causing me to feel as if I am living in hell, and I'm creating hell for myself in this moment, and I do not want it, because I want to create heaven on earth. And I know that this is my purpose and that this is why I'm here, and so please assist me in this process. And divine consciousness will illuminate your mind, will give you some type of thought, will give you some kind of creative idea to assist you and to help you with alleviating whatever it is that you are suffering with. And it will do this because you believe that it will do it, and therefore it will manifest that belief in your visible life. Now, sometimes we don't want to take ownership for our life, and we say, no, this was done to me. But I want you to look deep, and I want you to see that you expected it, didn't you? You expected it. You expected that time after time after time that you would have the same result, and because you were putting out that exact same vibration of that expectation, that is exactly what it is that you got, is it not? And the reason that you did this is because you were basing it off of something that has actually happened to you, and so that you thought that you had an excuse and a reason to believe and to think that way, and you did, and you do. But I am telling you the secret and the reason why that occurred. And Jesus said it is reaping and sowing. And he went and goes into great detail in the Christ letters about science and electromagnetism and the facts around consciousness and belief and faith. Now, how is it that you think that this man goes out in the desert and he comes back, and all of a sudden he can create all kinds of miracles to which he could not do any before he went out in the desert? It is because his 6-week sojourn in the desert was a time of complete and total inner cleansing. This is why I made that mental cleanse series for you guys, so that you can have that total cleansing of your consciousness as well, because it is the only way to get to Christ consciousness is having a completely clear consciousness. So this is why I made this, to assist you in this process. Because as long as you hold resentment and anger and energetic cords of discord or betrayal or disharmony, you will be emitting that from your consciousness, and it will be returning to you. And you will be experiencing it in your life, an earthly experience, and you will think, well, what the heck? Why is this happening? And it is because you have not gone in deep enough and healed these places inside of you that perhaps are even ancestral and have nothing to do with this present life. They are from past lives. But if you haven't done a complete overhaul and cleansing of your consciousness, then you will never have a complete and total empty vessel to have these beautiful illumination, energetic clarity, and completed emptiness of consciousness, so that you can transmit what it is that the divine loving consciousness, this joyful, happy, laughing, laughter, uplifted consciousness wants you to experience. And because I know from my own studies of the Christ letters, I know that if you do the same, and if you just read this book, if you meditate daily, if you would work on yourself and go in and really actually do the work on yourself, take an hour and a half or 2 hours a day, and you think, oh, that's a lot of time. That's no time at all. You're listening to me right now. You've been on here for about 11 minutes. You're giving yourself this time. What if you gave yourself 90 minutes every day? Where would you be? Where would you be in a year from now? Take the time, and if you haven't the time, make the time, because the only thing that we have is time, and the time is right now, and you are more important than waiting. Delay is also disobedience. Procrastination is also disobedience. When you are told that you should do something, and you know that you should do something, and that you do not do something, and you don't do it, that is disobedience. And I have to tell you, I was very disobedient this last year, because I was arguing about what I was being told to do, and I didn't want to do it. And everything shut down, and everything got stuck. And even though I was living in the most beautiful place possibly on the planet, there was still a feeling that was not sitting right with me, and it's because I was not doing what I was told to do. And it doesn't have to make sense. And sometimes we think, oh, but I want this thing, why I don't understand why it has to be this way. But sometimes these things don't have to make sense to us. We just have to listen to them. And we have to listen to the energy, because the energy will speak to us. And when we follow these things, then wonderful and good things will happen, but we don't even know what is waiting for us unless we listen. There was a woman at our church a long time ago, and one morning she's out and she's at the grocery store, and she goes and she buys some flowers because God told her to buy some flowers, and she's thinking, like, this is weird. Like, I don't ever buy myself flowers, let alone a dozen red roses, because that's something that she would just never buy, but God told her to buy these, and so she's like, okay, I'm going to buy them. And so she walks out of the grocery store, and she walks into the parking lot, and she sees this woman, and she's sitting in her car, and this woman is crying, and so, something tells her, well, obviously it's this lady that needs these flowers. And so she goes over and knocks on the window and says, hi, I'm supposed to give these flowers to you, I believe. And this woman, who's crying in the car, starts crying even more, and I would imagine, and says, it's my anniversary today. And my husband always bought me a dozen red roses. And this is the first year since he's passed. And so what would have happened if that woman who was told to buy those flowers in the grocery store didn't buy those flowers? Well, somebody would be missing out. Something wouldn't have happened that was supposed to happen, something miraculous and divine that allowed that woman to know, hey, honey, you're not alone, and it's okay, and see, you are still loved, and everything is going to be okay. And so when we don't listen, when we don't do what we are told to do in the right now, then things happen in our life, and things don't happen in our life. And I know that if you're listening to this, it's because you're an earth angel, and sometimes maybe you haven't listened in the past. Maybe there's been a right now that you didn't listen to, and you didn't do it. And what were the consequences on that? Maybe you didn't get to know what the consequences were, but I guarantee you that there was some. And so if you have been delaying something in your life, if there has been something you've been procrastinating on, I understand, I've been there, I understand it, I get it. But this is my encouragement for you here today to stop it. And maybe that thing is that you've been saying yes to things that you mean no about. Maybe you mean no, and you mean no, and you mean no, and you mean no, and you know, and you keep saying yes. Maybe that's what it is. Or maybe there's been some action step that you know you need to take. Maybe you have to quit your job. Maybe you got to call the person. Maybe you need to do the thing. Maybe you got to, I don't know what it is, sell your stuff. Whatever it is, you know what it is, and you've been delaying, which is disobedience. And I can tell you because I stopped being disobedient, so I can tell you from a place of I know that that's what it is, and that you are just delaying. You are delaying every good and wonderful gift that is meant for you. Every single one. You're delaying it. Why would you do that? But we do it because we do it out of fear, and we don't know that that's what we're doing until all of a sudden we do it, and then we understand, oh, why did we do that? And then we learn it, and maybe you can learn it through me, so you don't have to learn it the hard way, because maybe you only been waiting a couple weeks or a couple days or a couple months, whereas I was waiting over a year, about a year. But I love you all today, and I'm very thankful that you guys are here. And whatever brought you in here today, I'm thankful for it. I love you, and I want you to go and I want you to spread the love that you have within you to everyone that you encounter, because I see it. I see the lights that are inside of you, and they're bright. And I know that you do share them. I know that you do. And that's why you're smiling right now, because you know that you do share them. And so thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing the light. And we are a community, and I love you all. And please comment below if there's anything that you would like to share, because perhaps maybe you have something to say that others need to hear as well. All right. I love you, baby darlings, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.